What if the moment that changed everything wasn't an argument or a breakup, but a single question asked at exactly the wrong time? 4 quiet words that didn't sound dangerous until they shattered a story built over 30 years. This isn't about a family falling apart by accident. This is about control, hidden as confusion, apologies used as weapons, and a truth that slipped out on camera and couldn't be taken back. Stay with me, because once you see how this really worked, you'll never hear another apology the same way again. It started with 4 quiet words that should never have carried weight, yet somehow shifted the ground beneath everything. Those words moved without noise, without argument, without visible conflict, and still, they sliced through decades of silence, obedience, patience, and practiced restraint. Nothing exploded, no one shouted, no doors slammed. Yet something far more dangerous happened. Understanding arrived. And once understanding enters a space built on confusion, it dismantles everything. That question, why would someone apologize for a lie, lingered in the air. And in that pause, an illusion cracked. Because what viewers believed for years was disorder was never disorder. It was structure. Not emotional chaos, but intentional design, carefully maintained over time. Cody Brown had not been reacting to circumstances, he had been shaping them. And the apology tour that appeared to be growth was not growth at all. It was the final refinement of a long-practiced strategy. When Cody announced he would apologize, it sounded humble, reflective, almost redemptive. A man willing to face mistakes, sit across from women he hurt, and finally own decades of imbalance, neglect, and favoritism. But accountability does not arrive only when consequences are gone. It does not wait until land is sold, futures divided, and damage complete. Cody did not apologize while harm was happening. He did not apologize when Mary's financial security was locked away. He did not apologize when Janelle waited year after year, watching progress stall. He did not apologize when Christine realized love would never arrive. He waited until nothing could be undone, and only then did the words come. And that timing mattered, because apologies can be tools, and Mary Brown, trained over decades to accept fragments of honesty as hope, believed him when he called to confess about secret conversations, about selling Coyote Pass without her consent. She assumed good faith, because that was how she survived. She believed honesty, even late honesty, still meant something. And she did not yet see that the confession itself was the mechanism, because it did not exist to heal, it existed to guide interpretation and shape perception of Janelle. That is where Jen entered, not bound by the family's unspoken rules, not trained to soften language or protect comfort, not conditioned to prioritize peace over truth. She was an outsider, and outsiders notice patterns insiders are taught to ignore. When Mary described the apology, Jen did not accept it. She interrupted with a question so simple it destabilized everything. Why apologize for a lie? And suddenly, the narrative fractured. Because if nothing happened, why say anything? If it was only a thought, why reveal it after everything was finalized? Unless the purpose was never the act, but the after image. Unless the goal was to plant a quiet story that would live in Mary's mind long after the conversation ended. A story that suggested Janelle wanted to move forward without you. I resisted. I stopped myself. Look how honest I am. And once that seed was planted, trust could never fully recover, because suspicion does not need proof, it only needs suggestion. This was not remorse, it was preemptive framing, and Jen saw it instantly. She named what others had not, that the confession served to cast doubt on Janelle before she spoke. And that was not new, it was familiar, because for decades, Cody survived by ensuring the women never aligned, never compared notes, never recognized patterns, because as long as they doubted each other, he remained central. By presenting himself as the reluctant participant, he appeared reflective while quietly redirecting blame and avoiding accountability. Because technically, nothing happened, but conversations happened, authority existed, pressure existed, and earlier on, camera, Cody himself admitted those conversations occurred, that he had legal authority, and that the plan stopped not from ethics, but from optics. And that distinction mattered, because now history was being rewritten. He was apologizing for thoughts, not outcomes, while ignoring the real harm of years of delay, imbalance, intimidation, and control. And as Jen continued, it became clear she was not defending one woman. She was dismantling an entire system built on isolation, curated realities, and selective truth, where each woman reacted to a version of events designed just for her. Cody thrived in those gaps because isolation is leverage and leverage is power. And once Mary began to see that, the realization did not arrive dramatically, it settled quietly and refused to leave. Because once one thread is pulled, the entire structure loosens. And Mary, for the first time, kept pulling. What made this strategy so effective was that it did not simply reinterpret the past, it actively poisoned the future. Because by confessing privately, Cody did not just explain history, he rewired relationships. Every interaction Mary had ever had with Janelle now felt altered. Every disagreement carried a shadow. Every moment of distance felt intentional. And that is the quiet power of perception control. You do not have to invent falsehoods, you only have to guide meaning. And Jen understood this without needing a playbook. She did not argue dates or recite episodes. She challenged logic itself. If this was about honesty, why now? If this was about growth, why did it leave Mary more isolated? If this was remorse, why did it protect him while damaging someone else? And as those questions surfaced, the room grew heavier. Because this was no longer emotional debate, it was analysis. And once behavior is analyzed, it cannot hide. Cody had perfected this pattern long before the apology tour. He always thrived in the space between his wives. When one was hurt, another was blamed. When one asked for fairness, she was labeled difficult. When one pulled away, she was called disloyal. And every time, he positioned himself as the exhausted mediator, the misunderstood center, carrying the burden of everyone else. And it worked, because no one ever had the full picture. Christine did not know what he told Mary. Mary did not know what he told Janelle. Janelle did not know what he promised Robin. Each woman believed she was responding to reality, when in truth, she was responding to a curated version. And Cody made sure those versions never aligned, because alignment would have exposed the pattern. The land became the clearest proof, not just property, but leverage, authority centralized through him alone, meaning every woman had to negotiate through the same gatekeeper, and negotiations done in isolation always favor the one in the middle. Janelle eventually recognized that, which is why she sought legal protection, not to manipulate, but to safeguard herself, after years of stalled progress and frozen security. And that single act was reframed as aggression, as pressure, as motive. And Jen asked the question no one else would ask. Is protecting yourself manipulation, or is it what happens when someone with power refuses to act? Janelle was not trying to harm Mary, she was trying to move forward, reclaim time, reclaim contribution, reclaim stability. Frustration after years of delay is not villainy, it is inevitability. Yet Cody reshaped that frustration into intent. And because he told the story first, it lodged itself in perception. And Mary began to realize something that altered everything. If he could do this now, after the marriages were over, what had he done before, while she was still inside it? That question lingered behind every exchange, every pause, every reaction, including discussions about Robin. And when Jen described Robin as submissive, not as weakness, but as compatibility with control, Cody reacted sharply, not because the observation was inaccurate, but because it exposed a dynamic he relied on. Once that dynamic is understood, the entire justification collapses. Because if one relationship thrived under control, then the issue was never the others being difficult, it was them being human. Mary's transformation unfolded quietly, decades of self-doubt loosening not through anger, but through clarity. What once appeared playful in coaching sessions revealed itself as rebellion, because learning to ask for fairness after years of conditioning is revolutionary. Manipulation collapses the moment self-trust returns. Cody sensed that shift. His humor sharpened, his defenses grew erratic, because people were no longer reacting emotionally, they were examining intent, and intent was the foundation of his strategy. The apology tour, meant to restore his image, became documentation of method, confessing enough to appear honest, redirecting suspicion outward, framing himself as tempted but virtuous, and always dividing. Janelle rejected the framing, not the conversations, but the label, because intent is not outcome, and Cody relied on semantics to invalidate response and reclaim victimhood. But this time, the cycle was named as it happened, and when deflection failed, the past was pulled forward, not to heal, but to distract. Long-resolved pain reused as shield, and Christine named it clearly. This is why the family fractured, not because of one moment, but because of a pattern. The refusal to own harm, the instinct to redirect, the willingness to weaponize vulnerability. And then the ghost story emerged. Not a lie, but something more effective. A half-truth planted to haunt, to keep people apart, because unity turns confusion into clarity, and clarity dismantles control. And that was the real threat. And by the end, Mary was no longer questioning herself. She was questioning him. And once that shift happens, it never reverses. What collapsed here wasn't just a marriage or a family. It was a narrative built on silence and selective truth. The apology wasn't the ending. It was the exposure. Because the most dangerous moment for control isn't rebellion, it's clarity. And once that clarity appeared, it couldn't be undone. The story didn't end on that couch. It began there. Because when people stop doubting themselves, the system that depended on that doubt no longer survives.